Losing a spouse is one of life's most profound heartbreaks. It's more than just the quiet that fills the room. It's the aching shift in identity, the endless paperwork, the empty seat at the dinner table. For many seniors in America, this chapter doesn't just bring grief, it brings change. Sudden, overwhelming, and deeply personal. You may find yourself faced with 1,000 decisions, some of them urgent, some of them emotional, and many of them unexpected. In times like these, it's easy to say yes when your heart is heavy or when people around you mean well, but don't truly understand the depth of your loss. This video was created with compassion, especially for those of you navigating widowhood later in life. Whether you were married for 40 years or 60, the love you shared was a foundation, and when that foundation disappears, even standing still feels hard. But here's the truth. You don't have to figure it all out at once, and you certainly don't need to rush decisions that could affect the rest of your life. In this video, we'll walk through 6 common mistakes people often make after losing a spouse. These are not warnings to make you feel guilty. They are gentle reminders to protect your healing, your peace, and your future. So take a breath. Settle in. You deserve guidance that speaks from the heart, and that's exactly what you'll find here. Let's begin together. Mistake number 1, making major financial decisions too soon. In the weeks and months following the loss of a spouse, it's common to feel the urge to do something, to clean up, organize, or take control of what feels like a life turned upside down. And for many, that urge turns into major financial decisions, selling the house, changing investments, giving money to children, or moving to a new location. But here's the truth, grief clouds judgment. Even the clearest thinker may struggle to see long-term consequences during such an emotional time. You may hear people say things like, "It's best to downsize now," or "You need to act quickly before the market changes." But there is rarely a good reason to rush. In fact, many widows and widowers later wish they had waited. Take the story of Margaret, 74, who sold the home she and her husband shared for over 40 years. Friends said it would be easier, fewer memories, lower bills. She moved into a small apartment across town, but once the initial shock wore off, she realized she felt even more alone. She missed her garden, her neighbors, her sense of place. The move had solved nothing and brought new pain. That's why financial experts often recommend waiting at least 1 full year before making major decisions. This gives your emotions time to settle and your thinking time to clear. Also, be cautious of people, sometimes even family, offering financial advice during this time. Always consult a trusted professional who understands your long-term needs, not just your short-term emotions. You don't need to make every decision right away. Stability, not speed, is what matters most. Take your time. Protect what you've built. The future can wait until your heart is ready. Mistake number 2, isolating yourself from friends and family. After losing a spouse, it's natural to pull back. The grief can be so heavy that even answering the phone or opening the front door feels like too much. You might find comfort in silence, in solitude, in shutting the world out for a while. And that's okay, for a while. But when solitude turns into isolation, it becomes a dangerous place. Many seniors tell themselves, "I just need more time alone." But weeks turn into months. Phone calls go unanswered. Invitations are declined. The world gets quieter, but the pain grows louder. Isolation doesn't just hurt emotionally, it can affect your physical health too. Studies show that prolonged loneliness can weaken the immune system, increase the risk of heart disease, and even shorten life expectancy. Take Walter, 78. After his wife passed, he withdrew completely. He stopped going to church, turned down family dinners, and spent most days in his recliner, staring at the TV. He thought no one could understand his pain, but all it did was make him feel more alone. Everything changed the day his neighbor invited him over for a cup of coffee. That simple act of connection became a lifeline. One visit led to another, and soon Walter felt lighter, not because his grief disappeared, but because he realized he didn't have to carry it alone. You don't have to dive into busy social events. Start small, a short walk with a friend, coffee with a neighbor, or joining a support group of others who've experienced loss. Even if you don't feel like talking, just being near others can be healing. You are not a burden, you are loved, and staying connected, even gently, can be one of the most powerful steps toward healing. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. Now let's move forward. Mistake number 3, ignoring your own health and well-being. In the days after losing a spouse, it's easy to forget about yourself. Meals get skipped, sleep becomes restless, doctor appointments are delayed or canceled altogether. You may feel too tired, too overwhelmed, or even too guilty to focus on your own health. But neglecting your body doesn't honor your spouse's memory. It only makes your grief harder to carry. Grief affects the body in ways we don't always expect. It raises stress hormones, weakens the immune system, increases the risk of heart issues, and even affects memory and focus. Over time, this can turn into real health problems if ignored. Take James, 81. After his wife passed, he stopped cooking altogether. He told his daughter he wasn't hungry, but really he just didn't care. He lost weight, felt dizzy often, and couldn't sleep. It wasn't until she helped him prepare small, nourishing meals that he began to feel like himself again. Self-care doesn't mean pretending everything's fine. It means taking simple, gentle steps to support your body, especially when your heart is hurting. Eat regular meals, even if they're small. Stay hydrated. Go for a short walk outside. Keep up with your prescriptions and routine checkups. And don't forget your mental health. It's not a sign of weakness to speak with a grief counselor or attend a support group. It's a sign of strength. Remember this, your life still matters. Your spouse would want you to care for yourself, not give up. You don't have to feel okay to take care of your body, just to start small. One meal, one walk, one good night's sleep. It all adds up, and it all helps. Mistake number 4, rushing into a new relationship. Loneliness after losing a spouse can feel unbearable. The silence in the house, the empty side of the bed, the lack of someone to share a meal with, it's all incredibly painful. In that quiet, it's natural to crave companionship, someone to talk to, someone who simply understands. But one of the most common and most emotionally risky mistakes is rushing into a new relationship too soon. When you're grieving, your heart is tender, your emotions run deep and raw, and sometimes the need to feel connected again can lead to making decisions that don't come from a place of healing, but from a place of desperation. Take Barbara, 72. Just months after her husband of nearly 50 years passed, she started seeing someone a friend had introduced her to. At first, it felt like the lifeline she needed, but as the weeks went on, she realized she wasn't ready. The grief she hadn't dealt with came bubbling to the surface, and the new relationship only added confusion and guilt. Rushing into love again too soon can lead to regret, emotional strain, or even a relationship that's built on trying to fill the gap rather than true compatibility. And sadly, some individuals prey on widows and widowers, offering comfort but seeking control, emotionally or financially. If someone pushes you to move quickly, isolate from loved ones, or make financial decisions, those are red flags. There's no rule that says you can't love again, but it should happen when you are ready, not because you're trying to escape the pain. Let yourself heal. Reconnect with who you are outside of your marriage. When the time is right, if love comes again, it will be rooted in strength, not sorrow. Mistake number 5, holding on to every single possession. After losing a spouse, even the smallest item, a coffee mug, a sweater, a note on the fridge, can feel sacred. These belongings become physical reminders of the person you loved, the life you shared, and the memories that now feel distant. It's completely natural to want to hold on, but keeping everything exactly the same for too long can make it harder to move forward. Many widows and widowers struggle with this. The idea of donating clothing, cleaning out drawers, or moving furniture feels like another kind of loss. But holding on to every single item indefinitely can turn your home into a place frozen in time, one that deepens sadness rather than brings comfort. Take Harold, 76. After his wife passed, he left everything untouched. Her shoes stayed by the door, her closet remained full, and her chair sat empty. He thought preserving her space would help, but over time, it became a source of daily pain. It wasn't until he gently began letting go, keeping a few cherished items and donating others, that he felt a weight lift from his heart. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means making space for healing, for breathing, for finding peace in a new chapter of life. Start small. Choose a few meaningful keepsakes, a piece of jewelry, a favorite photo, a handwritten card. Create a memory box or a special place in your home for them. If you're not ready to part with certain things, that's okay. There's no deadline. Just be mindful that clinging to everything can sometimes hold you in a place of sorrow longer than necessary. Let your home be a place of love, not just loss, and let the memories live not only in objects, but in your heart. Mistake number 6, letting widowhood become your entire identity. When you lose a spouse, your whole world changes. You go from being part of a pair to suddenly being on your own. For many, especially after decades of marriage, the label widow or widower can begin to feel like their entire identity. It's understandable. You shared a life, a home, memories. So much of who you were was tied to who you were with. But one of the most painful mistakes people make is believing that because their spouse is gone, the rest of their identity must disappear too. You are still a whole person. You are still a parent, a grandparent, a friend, a neighbor. You still have a voice, a purpose, and a life that matters. When grief takes over everything, it's easy to forget the parts of yourself that brought you joy before. Your hobbies, your talents, the things that made you feel alive and proud of who you are, not just who you loved. Take time to rediscover those parts. Maybe it's gardening, volunteering, painting, cooking, or simply going for a walk and feeling the sun on your face. Your spouse will always be a part of you, but you are more than your loss. Living your life doesn't mean leaving them behind. It means carrying their memory forward as you continue to grow. You deserve to laugh again, to feel excited, to explore who you are now. Don't let widowhood be the end of your story. Let it be a chapter, one that shapes you but doesn't define you. You're still here, and your life still matters. In conclusion, losing a spouse is one of life's most painful journeys. It changes how you see the world, how you move through each day, and how you imagine the future. But through all the heartbreak, confusion, and quiet moments of loneliness, please remember this: you are not alone, and you are not without hope. Avoiding these 6 common mistakes: rushing financial decisions, isolating yourself, neglecting your health, entering a new relationship too soon, holding on to everything, and losing your sense of self, can gently protect your heart and help you navigate this difficult chapter with greater peace and clarity. There is no perfect timeline for healing. There are no right answers for grief, but there is strength in slowing down, being kind to yourself, and taking one step at a time. You love deeply, and that love will always be a part of you. But so is your resilience, your wisdom, and your ability to keep going. From my heart to yours, I wish you healing, comfort, and moments of quiet strength in the days ahead. Take care of yourself. You are deeply worth it.